With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Always great to hear the voice of Brent Musburger, and this is Prime Time, the longest show on the network for the next 4 hours. You're going to be with us, Will Hill, Matt Youmans. I'm here at the Circus Sportsbook. Will is on the East Coast at his home in Connecticut. And Will, I want to start with the NBA and the Boston Celtics because we talked about this at the end of Monday night's show. Tim Murray and I. Are the Boston Celtics about to be blown up? Jason Tatum had surgery on his Achilles today. He's going to be out for next season. He's going to be out for a long time, and this Boston Celtics team's not going to look anything like it did last night when he comes back. The Celtics down 3-1 in the series, and they will get knocked out by the Knicks. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, certainly seems like it. And these injuries just continue. It seems like every year we're just talking about these injuries in the playoffs. I really think if the Warriors had Steph Curry, they had a chance to win that series. Not the case. And now, look, they were going to lose that game anyway. They might have lost the series anyway, but now you're talking about an injury that's going to carry into next year. So that's tough. And if you want to go back, if you want to be tough about it, we've always had questions about the Celtics, their toughness, their mental toughness, their offense at the end of these games. They answered a lot of those questions last year, but they had the softest path I've ever seen to an NBA Finals. And our buddy Chris Massaro, who's a Celtics fan, but a very critical, honest Celtics fan, agreed that, look, they had a very soft cakewalk path to the Finals. And once they got to the Finals, it was a 5 seed. So did they really answer those questions? I've never seen a team that's has such an inability to close these games. They're up 20 in all these games. They're up 14 yesterday. And they can't close it. So very strange. I don't know, what that means going forward. It's a very expensive roster. They're not going to have Tatum next year. They're not going to be a title contender without Tatum. So we'll see what the future holds. I wouldn't imagine they fire Joe Mazzulla or anything like that. I heard him talking about that just now on Follow the Money. I wouldn't think they'd go that far. Although these coaches, you never know. Malone got fired. All these championship coaches, it doesn't seem to give them much of a shelf life. But just an embarrassing series here for Boston, not being able to close these games.
Yeah, more important than firing the coach. By the way, look at the news here from Shams Charania of ESPN. Celtics star Jason Tatum underwent surgery to repair a torn right Achilles tendon. For some players, it'll take about 500 days to come back from something like that. So it's going to be a long time before we see Jason Tatum back on the court in the form we saw him in when he was spectacular, actually, in the Game 4 on Monday night. It says, the rest of his tweet says, catastrophic season-ending injury for one of the NBA's young faces and the Celtics with a long rehab awaiting. And this Celtics situation with the roster and the payroll is pretty ugly when you dig into it. And, Joe Mazzulla is not a great coach. Now, he did win a championship last year. I don't think the coach is going to take the fall for this because the Celtics are soft. They were built this way, right? You're shooting 53 pointers a game. You're going to be a finesse team. You're going to be a soft team. And that's shown up in this series against the Knicks. I think Brad Stevens is smart enough to see that, and he's going to rebuild the Celtics team. And Boston's going to look a lot differently whenever Jason Tatum comes back. But I think in terms of talking about the Celtics as one of the contenders to win the East, those days are put on the shelf for a while. And this team is going to take a back seat. And we'll see how the rest of the East works out. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks are going to step to the forefront in the East. And that leads us to the game of the night.
The
lights are on and the stakes are high. It's the primetime game of the night.
All right, this matchup on Sunday night was a bomb. It was a bust. It was all Pacers. They pummeled and pounded the Cavaliers into submission. It was 80-39 at halftime, 41-point game at the half. The Pacers ended up putting away the Cavs by 20, but the final score is irrelevant unless you played it over the total or for betting purposes. But the Pacers won that game, and it was a joke. It was a runaway, and I do have to give you can't put all the blame on the Cavs, even though they played so poorly and they were so sloppy in the game. Will, the Pacers were impeccable in the second quarter. That's about as impressive a quarter as you're going to see from a team on Sunday night when the Pacers put up 42 points, outscored the Cavs 42-16, and turned that game into a blowout. All right, so now the Pacers up 3-1 in the series. It seems like a matter of, again, when, not if, Indiana is going to close out this series. Does it happen tonight, Will? And with Donovan Mitchell on the floor, the Cavs are 8.5-point favorites. This seems like a big number.
Seems like a really big number. I don't like betting against the team after they've been embarrassed, because you and I have talked about this past. That's, any of these sports, NFL, NBA, that's typically when you get their best performance. And it does make me a little nervous that people are just penciling Indy into the next round, because let's just say Cleveland, 8.5-point favorites. Not unreasonable to think they win tonight. All right, all of a sudden it's 3-2. And if you're Indy, all you have is one chance at home to close it out. And if you're in a game 7 on the road, that's not a good scenario for you. So I'd be careful of just penciling Indy into the next round, but I do think they're live tonight. I would take the 8.5 before I laid it. I do like Indy plus the points. And I just think that, okay, these guys are playing for Cleveland, but are they healthy? Mitchell, Garland, they're all banged up. Garland was clearly hobbled. And this is just a bad team to play if you're not 100% healthy, because anyone that's ever played pickup basketball knows a team, when someone's going to pressure you and constantly hound you when you have the ball, it's exhausting. It's mentally taxing. It's physically taxing. And Indiana is relentless. You and I were doing the show a couple weeks ago when they came back against the Bucks, and then they did it again a week later against the Pacers. Against the Cavs, they just continue to come after you. They are so relentless with their pressure. So I got a banged up team laying 8.5. I would take the 8.5. I think Indy is live to win this game. I don't mind sprinkling on the money line. I think we'll see a very close game. I think you're being really taxed here on the desperation, the motivation aspect of the Cavs. Is this a game that you have any interest in betting?
Not right now. I'll tell you why. So as we sit here at Circa, Cleveland 8.5-point favorite, total of 230. Been doing this a long time, just like you have. When a number stinks, you tend to stay away. I don't understand why the Cavs are 8.5-point favorites here. Even when they've been healthy, they have not looked that good. But also, one of my rules is I love to bet against or bet on teams in the game after they were blown out and embarrassed. And the Cavs were just blown out and embarrassed. So they're in a situation where I typically like to bet on that team tonight. 8.5 is a number that's just a little bit too high to lay. And I have not seen enough from the Cavs in this series to say that I'm going to lay that number. It would actually be Pacers or pass. So I'm conflicted. I'm going to stay away from it. I think the number's too high, even though the spot would say this is going to be the night when the Cavs play with some pride and extend the series and probably get knocked out in 6. I think Cleveland wins the game, but it's I would say a tighter game than the 8.5-point number would indicate. I don't know, Will, that's one thing I think you like to do as well. You like to bet on a team the game after it's been blown out and embarrassed, and that's the spot the Cavs are in tonight, right?
Yeah, but part of that betting on the team the game after they embarrassed, usually you're getting a discount in the line. It's more so of an NFL thing where the market overreacts, especially if it's a Sunday night game or a Monday night game, and you're getting a discount. You're buying low. You're getting a team cheap. I don't think you're getting the Cavs cheap here. You're paying the full premium here for the desperation. That the motivation aspect, the situational spot is fully baked in here, and I would say overly accounted for here. So I don't see any value in the 8.5. You and I are on the same line of thinking in terms of if you see an expensive money line, you're not afraid to lay it. If you think there's value, I would want no part of the minus $3 here with the Cavs. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cavs are just beat up, out of gas, and the Pacers run them off the floor. The Pacers are really good. Pacers are really, really good.
I mentioned what you just said. I mentioned that this morning on the show with Super Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis, VSiN by the books. I said a lot of times when you're betting on a team the game after it's been embarrassed, you're either betting on that team as a small underdog or a small favorite. And tonight you're getting the Cavs as 8.5-point favorites. And to me, that number's too big. And that number's so big, it's almost telling you, I think it's telling a lot of people, take the Pacers. You know, they just were up 40 at halftime. How do you not take the 8.5? Right. Anyway, to me, there's a lot to talk about there. And you end up kind of talking in circles. And I do not want to bet that game. I might play it live if something pops up. You know, we talked about this last night during the, this is a live betting show primarily. And last night we're talking about the Celtics and the Knicks. And I said, okay, the Celtics are such a volatile team. They shoot so many threes that when they go on a big run and build a big lead, you have to look at the underdog, taking the points or taking the money line price, because they can go cold from three, and a 12-point lead can be whittled down to 2 in 2 minutes, just like that. So the Celtics get up 72-58. They're minus $6 on the money line. They're 11.5-point favorites in the game, and they end up losing. And there's no drama about it in the final 2 minutes, Will. The Knicks ran away with that game at the end last night. But those are the type of spots you got to look for in live betting, and especially in the NBA, which I've said many times is the best of all the live betting sports because of the big runs and the momentum swings. And so far, this game's off to a slow start. It has tipped in Cleveland, and the Pacers lead the Cavs 3-2. And we're just 2.5 minutes into the game. So the total closed 230 here at Circa. And if you bet that over, you're not excited about what you're seeing offensively here so far. Just a couple of teams who look a little bit rusty on the offensive end of the floor. Also tonight, Denver and OKC. I do have a bet on this game. Will, you and I are going to break it down a little bit later in the show. Did you bet the nightcap?
I did. I like the dog. I think this is a lot of points. I think these teams have looked pretty equal for 3 of the 4 games. Mm-hmm. Jokic has not even shot the ball, as our buddy Mark Jones, who's doing these games for ESPN, is quick to remind everyone. And they still could easily be up 3-1. They're up 8 in game 4 here. So to me, these teams have been pretty even. I have questions about Oklahoma City's late game offense. Those 10 points look pretty good to me.
Yeah, I took 10.5 with the Nuggets as well, and we will talk about that when we have a little bit more time. We got all kinds of time on this show. This is VSiN PrimeTime, and we got a great guest list here on a Tuesday night. Don't forget, it's a golf major week, so we have some great guests lined up for you. Adam Burke of VSiN.com is going to be on next. Then we have Jeff Sherman of the Westgate Superbook, Matt Grohl of DraftKings, and John Hasselbauer, PGA tout, who's as sharp as it gets when it comes to golf handicapping. Stay tuned back here in a couple minutes with Adam Burke on VSiN PrimeTime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, welcome back. VSiN Primetime. Will Hill, Matt Youmans here, and we are joined on the Progressive Guest Line by VSiN.com. Managing Editor Adam Burke joins us most Tuesdays here on the show. And Adam, you are primarily a baseball guy, and I want to ask you about, and you're also an Ohio guy, so let's talk about Pete Rose and a historic decision today. Announcement from Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner. The Pete Rose, others like Shoeless Joe Jackson, deceased players will be removed from the permanently ineligible list. That means the all-time hits king, now eligible for election into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. I don't know if he's going to get the votes he needs to get in, but what did you make of that announcement today?
Yeah, I mean, look, it makes sense that Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, some of the others are eligible for the Hall of Fame. I mean, I realize that, there is a character clause there, and I do think that that's very, very subjective. I get it. Guy bet on baseball, so be it. But he's a 17-time All-Star, 3-time World Series winner, 2-time Gold Glover, won a World Series MVP. Obviously, the hit king. Like, there are so many reasons why this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. And I think it's really cowardly of Rob Manfred and the others who made this decision to wait until Pete Rose died to, go ahead and remove him from that list and give him the opportunity to go to the Hall of Fame. But we'll see. We'll see if he gets the votes because, with the proliferation of sports betting in modern day, I'm curious to see what kind of impact that has on the voters who are making the decision.
That's a great answer. I love it. Very similar to the answer I gave somebody today when they asked me about it. And so I agree with you, Adam. All right, let's hit tonight's baseball card, Will.
Yeah, Adam, let's get to on-the-field action here. Yankees in Seattle. They won last night, scored a bunch of runs. It is Fried against Wu. Fried's been outstanding. Wu is actually an underrated pitcher who doesn't have some of the surface stats here, but what are you looking at in this game?
Yeah, I got first 5 under 3.5 in this one. And, look, I mean, Max Fried's been fantastic here throughout the course of the season. He's only given up 6 earned runs in 51 2/3, only 11 runs total. A guy that it's very, very hard to string innings together against him. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, doesn't give up a lot of home runs, extreme ground ball guy. So he's a guy that's tough to score against in any environment, let alone one up there at T-Mobile Park. And Brian Wu is fantastic at home. He was really good at home last year. 2 good starts at home here so far this season. And the fact that his numbers are pretty good, despite not making a whole lot of home starts up until this point, I think kind of shows the maturation process a little bit as a starting pitcher for him. We know the Yankees will swing and miss. We know they'll swing and miss against above average right-handers specifically. I think Brian Wu is an above average right-hander. So I think this is a game where we're going to have a very, very low scoring start. We'll see if it stays under the full game total of 7, but I like the first 5 under 3.5 in that Wu and Fried matchup.
Adam, the Rockies are bad. I'm not sure if you heard that, but the Colorado Rockies are not a good baseball team. How do you play against them? Is it team totals? Is it the market is caught up to this? Is it don't overthink it? Just lay the 1.5, lay the money line. Obviously, case by case. But what has been your approach here to betting against the Rockies this season?
Yeah, I actually wrote an article over at VSiN.com, and I refreshed it here this week after they fired manager Bud Black. Should you bet against the Rockies in every game? And the ironic thing is, I got to write one of these last year with the Chicago White Sox, who lost a record 121 games, and Colorado is probably not only going to threaten that number, I think they're probably going to surpass that number. But yeah, to your point, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can bet against this team. Team total over is definitely one that you could take a look at, particularly at Coors Field. I know that they're definitely inflated, but they have a starting pitcher ERA over 7 at home. So they're not getting a whole lot of guys out. On the road, they're only scoring about 2.2 runs per game. So there's a lot of ammunition to go ahead and take run lines, alt run lines against them, stuff like that. The thing is, I think the market is catching up, but with a team that is historically bad like this one is, I don't know how far the market can actually go. It may just be one of those things where the sports books and people who want to fade, some inflated prices just have to hope and pray that the Rockies actually show up every now and then. But just incredibly bad all over the place for this team. And I don't think firing manager Bud Black's going to really do anything.
Another game tonight, Royals and the Astros, 2 pretty good lefties going. Framber Valdez against Bubic, who's been a revelation here for Kansas City. Any interest in this game?
Yeah, I got close to taking Kansas City here. I mean, they're obviously on quite a heater. They're playing very, very well here of late. The thing about it is, all the games that they've won here recently, I don't know if it's 17 of 19 or whatever it's up to now, their offense still hasn't really been that great. And when you take on a guy like Framber Valdez, you're going to get 60+% ground ball rate. You're not going to get a whole lot of walks. He's going to be ahead in the count quite a bit. I just didn't have enough faith in the Kansas City offense here, but I do love what Chris Bubic is doing and kind of a Cole Reagan's light type of guy here so far this season for the Royals, where Michael Wacha's still been pretty good. Seth Lugo's been good. Reagan's had 4 games with 10 or more strikeouts. The pitching factory for the Royals is still intact, much to my chagrin, because I do have them under their season win total here. But that offense still makes it very, very difficult for me to bet on them night in and night out. And they were close for me tonight, but Valdez is a tough customer in his own right.
Adam Burke, VSiN.com with us. Adam, I was close to betting the Giants tonight. I have not done it. Giants, small home underdogs. Robbie Ray's going. He's made 8 starts. He's 5-0. His numbers aren't great. He's got a whip of 120, 9.3 strikeouts per 9, ERA of 2.84. He's been good, not great. But Robbie Ray, as a home dog in the Giants, did you get there or not?
Didn't get there, but I can understand your thought process here. I mean, first of all, you look at Brandon Pfaadt this season for the Diamondbacks, 3.28 ERA, 5.53 expected ERA. Strikeout rate is not great for him. He's given up a lot of hard contact, given up a lot of home runs as well. The thing here about this game, and the reason why I couldn't take San Francisco, is because Pfaadt does have a home run problem, but this is a ballpark that suppresses power at Oracle Park. So this should be a good venue for him. We'll see if that ends up being the case, but guys, we're getting the full Robbie Ray experience this year. Over a strikeout per inning, bunch of walks, 5 and fly type of dude. He's not going to work deep into games. But with the Giants bullpen being as good as it is, I don't think that's a bad thing for San Francisco. So I don't like the park with Fott here tonight. I think this is something where he can suppress that home run rate. That's why I didn't take the Giants, but I won't be shocked if they do win this game.
Yeah, plus 102 here at Circa. I like the pitching matchup. I thought about playing Robbie Ray and the Giants. Still might. Haven't done it yet. Adam Burke of VSiN.com with us. Adam, right now the two hottest teams in baseball are the Cardinals, who've won 9 in a row, and the Twins, who have won 8 in a row. What do you make of those two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of these runs are a little bit shocking here. I mean, I know Minnesota's got some good pitching. They've got Pablo Lopez. They've got Bailey Ober, who's been really good outside of a blow up early on in the season. They're even getting good contributions out of Chris Paddock right now. So they've righted the ship on the pitching side a little bit, the starting pitching side specifically. I still don't love that offense, though. And I mean, Royce Lewis is probably going to get hurt here again at some point. Byron Buxton's going to get hurt again, too. It's a nice little run that they're on. I don't see a whole lot of sustainability to it. It's the same thing for the Cardinals, too. I mean, I just don't think this ball club is very good. The starting pitching has some major red flags, Andre Pallant being one of them. He's a big-time regression candidate as we go forward here. I don't think Matthew Liberatore can keep this up. I don't like journeyman pitch-to-contact guys like an Eric Fetty, a Miles Michaelis. I just don't believe in this Cardinals team at all whatsoever. I think this is some smoke and mirrors here where you get teams that get on streaks early on in the season, but over 162 games, you kind of see a team's true talent level. And these two teams are both playing well over their true talent level right now.
All right, 2-minute warning here with Adam Burke. Let's hit the NBA quickly. Your Cleveland Cavaliers right now trying to stay alive in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Second round here, up 15-12 on the Pacers. 4 minutes ago in the first quarter. Did you play the Cavs? Did you understand why the Cavs were 8.5-point favorites tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they were favorites to the magnitude that they were. I mean, you know, you look at the games that were played in Cleveland and, you know, I mean, game 1, they kind of let slip away. Game 2, they definitely let slip away. Look, I mean, when this team's healthy, they are better than Indiana, but they're not very healthy right now. I get it, though. You know, you've got the chance for the Cavs to bounce back. We've seen the zigzag theory work out pretty well here so far. At least, you know, it did in the first round, maybe not so much here in the second round. But, you know, I think this Cavs team, I mean, back's against the wall. Mitchell's going to have to go out there and do something. Garland's struggling already tonight is a big problem for them. I understood why they were such a big favorite, but I had no interest in laying that price. And we'll see if they can push it to a game 6 or if they're hopping a charter flight to Cancun after the game.
If they land in Cancun, they might meet Tony Miller, the Golden Nugget sportsbook director, who just flew down there today. All right, so Adam Burke, anything else? Did you play anything in tonight's nightcap in the NBA or in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
No, I didn't. But you know what? I think it's a good time to mention that over at VSiN.com, we're going to have a lot of Preakness Stakes coverage.
That's
we
right.
already have Ed Sehan's horse profiles. We've got Mike Samich's pace report and also his breakdown of the post draw. My Black Eyed Susan Stakes preview will go up tomorrow. We'll have a bunch of picks for the weekend for the Preakness cards. So head over to VSiN.com/subscribe. Make sure you can see all of it. But even if you just want a couple of free page views, head over to the website and check out what we've got for the horse racing this weekend.
All right, that's a great promo. And the Kentucky Derby was very profitable for a lot of us around here. So hopefully the Preakness is as well. Adam, appreciate the time.
Have a good one, guys.
Head over to VSiN.com. Check out all the content up there. Will Hill and I will return here in a couple minutes after a quick break. Cavs 17, Pacers 12.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
If you love hot three-point shooting, don't watch Pacers Cavs. Right now, the teams are combined 0 for 9 from 3. Will Hill, Matt Youmans here on Primetime. 21-12, Cavs have the lead over the Pacers. Cavs are up to 11.5-point favorites live, Will. So there you go. If you didn't grab the Pacers 8.5 pregame, and you still like them, you could grab the Pacers plus 11.5 right now. Total is 222.5. The total's dipped about 8 points. Team's off to a bit of a ragged start offensively. Cavs are 7 for 7 from the free throw line. Donovan Mitchell, 5 of 5, and he's got 7 points early. But the Pacers, who were incredible for the most part in that first half on Sunday night, we're seeing the opposite happen here, Will, and that's a lot of the things we talk about in handicapping lessons, right? Don't bet on what you saw last. A lot of times you want to bet the opposite of what you saw last.
100%. It's almost, you're better off not having seen the last game because it colors what you think going forward. And not that the Pacers aren't trying or anything or not giving their best effort, but this isn't a house money game. Even though you're up 3-1, it's very different when you're up 3-1, but you're the lower seed because 5's not at home, 7's not at home. You're really putting a lot of chips on the fact that we can close this in 6. Not that you can't win 7 on the road, but if it got to that scenario, the Cavs would be a big favorite like they are tonight. So you want to go for the kill here for the Pacers. Again, not that they're not trying or anything, but I see this a lot in the NBA playoffs. Team get one on the road, and then they just kind of punt game 2. They're happy to get one. They're satisfied. You can't be satisfied here if you're the Pacers. And I'm curious if the Cavs, long way to go, obviously, but if the Cavs won this game, series price, maybe the Pacers a slight favorite, but like I mentioned before the game started, it makes me a little nervous. Everyone just penciling Indy into the next round here. With 5 on the road, 7 on the road, it's not that easy. So a good start here for Cleveland.
No, it's not that easy, but at the same time, I would be really surprised if the Pacers choked off this series. The Cavs just don't look that good. And Donovan Mitchell's not 100%. They've got some injury issues as well, and the Cavs don't have a lot of depth. And when your star is a little bit hobbled, that's a problem. And, you could say the pressure's going to be on the Pacers. If they lose tonight when they go home for Game 6, but I think they can handle that. Pacers just have looked like a much better team throughout this series. And I think some of it has to do with the Cavs being banged up and a little bit worn down. And Donovan Mitchell, as I say that, pulls up from 3 and throws up a brick. But 21-14 right now. Cavs have the lead over the Pacers. So the point here is the Cavs have blown big leads in this series. Throw out the previous game in Indianapolis where the Pacers led wire to wire. It was a blowout. But the Cavs have blown some big leads in this series, just like the Celtics have. What would be your buy sign here, Will? If you like the Pacers, you didn't bet a pregame. Right now, the live number is 12.5. Cavs are up 25-14. At what point, if you didn't have a pregame bet and you were thinking about playing the Pacers and you didn't do it, would you say, all right, now I'm getting value. I'm getting the better of it. 12.5, I'm getting 4 points the better of it. I'm going to take that with the Pacers. What would be the magic number for you as you watch this?
Yeah, it's not as much about the number as it is the time in the game. And I think you put it well when you're talking Knicks Celtics. Third quarter, and you highlighted it perfectly. Knicks Celtics are up 14. This is the time where they can get a little tight. They could take the foot off the gas. I want to see a half play out because I'm worried from Indy's perspective, from back in Indy, that they're just coming into this game overconfident, complacent, and that Cleveland runs them out of the gym. So I don't want to chase a falling knife here. So I want to let this game play out a little bit before I think about what I want to grab here with Indy.
How about this thought process too? So the Cavs, who just got embarrassed, are going to come out and play with a great surge of energy in the first half tonight, and you might see them fade in the second half. What do you think?
It's possible, but down 3-1, facing elimination, having already blown a lead, having been blown out in Game 4, I don't know. I just worry that Indy packs it up more than Cleveland folds here. It sounds like you're interested in jumping in Indy at some point, if the numbers right.
I'm thinking about it. I'm certainly thinking about it. But what you're saying, what you're alluding to here is the Pacers are not going to play with a lot of the Pacers are going to show up and play with an edge tonight because they've got some room to play with here. They got some margin for error. They know they can go home in Game 6 and still close out the series. So you're not going to get that desperate, motivated performance from the Pacers. If they fall behind, they might just pack it in and say, we'll just get them in Game 6. I think that's a concern you have to deal with when you're looking at a game like this, right?
100%. Yeah. Absolutely. Carlisle's a good coach, a veteran coach too. Again, it's an 8-point game in the first quarter. We're a long ways from that, but it is in the back of my mind that, and it's been a way to play these playoffs too. If you think, if you can get ahead of it in terms of this team's going to punt or this team's going to take the foot off the gas and just say, you know what, we'll see you next time. These teams do that. There is some gamesmanship in terms of that, and that is in the back of my head here in terms of the thought process with this game.
All right, the NBA nightcap here on Tuesday, Denver at Oklahoma City. Series tied at 2, and 3 of the 4 games have been tight. There was one blowout in OKC. That was game 2 in favor of the Thunder. Tonight, OKC a 10.5-point favorite in most spots. I did bet this. I put it up on VSiN Pro, talked about it in the morning show. Took the Nuggets plus 10.5. I did it with not a ton of confidence, but I think this is the type of game the Nuggets, I think Nikola Jokic is going to show up and play much better tonight. He's taking a beating, and he deserves some of it. He's 2 for 18 from 3 in the last 2 games. It looks like he's wearing down. And also the OKC Thunder, really good defensive team, doing a great job making him work on everything, and the Thunder are kind of wearing him down too. At the same time, Will, when I watch the Thunder, the more I watch this team, the less I like him. I've seen a lot of flaws in the way OKC plays. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 0 for 5 from 3 in the last game. And the more I watch him, the more he annoys me too, because he constantly baits officials and draws bogus foul calls. And it just gets annoying to watch these NBA games when you get guys who are constantly flopping and trying to bait the officials in the calls. And SGA's doing that all the time. Anyway, point being, I think the Thunder are a more flawed team than the media wanted to believe throughout the season. And your flaws tend to come to the surface during the playoffs. And we're seeing it with OKC here. I thought this number got too high. I was thinking it was going to be somewhere around 7.5, 8. And I saw 10.5. I said, okay, I got to take 10.5 with the champion, with the real MVP in Nikola Jokic. And I think that he's going to show up and play with an edge tonight because he knows his performance in this playoff series has been subpar.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. He shot the ball terribly. He shot the ball terribly from 3. He's even missed big free throws. I think there was a sequence the other night. It was 84-80.
He missed 2.
He goes to the line for 2. You're thinking, all right, 2-point game. We're back in it. He misses both of them. And then Aaron Gordon missed one. They left a lot of points on the free throw line. He has not played well. And I will give Oklahoma City credit for this. I agree 100%. Their flaws offensively, they don't have a second scorer. SGA is always looking for fouls, all that stuff. Their quickness and their speed on defense has really taken away a lot of the space and a lot of the passing lanes for Jokic, who I think he's only averaging 5 assists per game. He's usually you can put him down for 9, 10 assists, triple doubles, a regular thing with him. The passing lanes aren't there, and he's getting worn down. I thought it was really idiotic game 2. Now most people turned the TV off or went to bed. I don't know if you noticed this. There was a 45-point game in game 2, end of the third quarter, and Jokic is still out there crashing into guys, fouling people. I mean, you're down 30 plus at half. I get you want to give your guys a chance at a comeback. That to me was irresponsible, especially coming off a 7-game series, every other day nature of the series. So I thought that was a real missed opportunity you're talking about a quarter and a half, but I thought that was a real missed opportunity for Adelman in Denver to get Jokic off his feet. I agree they look tired, but 10 is just a lot of points. There's not that much separating these teams. Gordon's giving them something. Porter Jr., obviously the shoulder is concerned, but and look, I don't love the idea of Westbrook taking all these shots, but he's played hard. He's given them at least an effort defensively. I just think OKC gets tight at the end of these games, and you know what they are? You know what they feel like? They feel like a front runner. OKC, they feel like a front runner. I'll give them credit. They were down 8. Early fourth quarter, I think 71-63, and we could easily be talking about a 3-1 deficit here, but they do come off as a team that's a bit of a front runner here. So I'm happy to take the 10, and I wouldn't hate the idea of sprinkling a little bit on the money line, because if it gets close, I want Jokic on the floor. I want the team that has Jokic on the floor with a chance to close the game out.
You brought up a good point. I agreed with you 100%. I could not believe Jokic was on the floor in that 40-point blowout, but that's a rookie coach. Still, there's no excuse for it. You got to get your guys rest. When you're getting blown out like that, put them on the bench, rest, play for the next game. And the other thing is, it's alarming to me, the lack of depth on this Denver Nuggets team. How can you have all the scouts and personnel people you have, and you can't bring 2 decent guys off the bench? Seriously. The Nuggets have, 4.5 legitimate players? It's incredible that your roster can be that thin and your scouting's not better than that and your bench is so bad. All right, the NBA playoffs are heating up, and our partner, ProfitX, is offering the best odds all playoff long. ProfitX is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states. You'll be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against sports books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download ProfitX today with code VSiN and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. Again, ProfitX, code VSiN. All right, Will Hill, quick update here on what's happening Cavs 31, Pacers 19. Cavs 12.5-point favorites. Live total 224.5. More on the NBA and the fallout from the draft lottery when we come back here in a couple minutes. Did the NBA rig the lottery?
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, we affectionately refer to Will Hill as a puckhead because of his love for hockey. So, Will, let's talk a little hockey betting tonight. Stanley Cup playoffs. We got a game in which the puck is about to drop, let's say about 20 minutes away. Winnipeg, Dallas. I know you've been riveted by this series. Dallas up 2-1. And tonight, Dallas at home as a 150 favorite, total of 5.5. Will, give us your deep dive handicap on this one. Actually, I'll say this. If you're betting this game, you can't bet the Winnipeg Jets with a lot of confidence. On the road in the playoffs, the Jets are 0-4, and they've been outscored 22-7. Will, that's the type of trend you just cannot deny, right?
Yeah, I mean, with hockey, the plus money on these is often enticing because you just feel like, look, and I'm not a hockey novice, but I feel like there's a lot of randomness with it, and you take the plus money, and hopefully the puck bounces your way. I actually do have a rooting interest. When a couple weeks ago I hosted with Scott Seidenberg, he convinced me to take a future on the Jets. I think at 12-1 to win it all, or 6-1 to win the conference. I got both of them, I think. So I'm rooting for the Jets, but like you said, Hellebuck has not been great, to say the least, in goal here for the Jets. So a stay away from me. I guess it would be Dallas or nothing. I'm not in love with the idea of laying $1.45 or so in this one. But if I forced you to bet here, over, under, side total, what direction would you go, if anything?
Well, I'm looking at the wagertalk.com odds screen, which I use a lot, and I don't see any price cheaper than 150 on the board on Dallas. Okay. It looks like 160 might be the highest price, all between 150 and 160. I'd probably just lay it with Dallas. You talked about Hellebuck. He has not been very good on the road. In fact, he's been bad on the road. He's one of the better goalies around, but on the road, he has looked pathetic. I was going to say pedestrian, but he's been worse than pedestrian. He's been pathetic. And the Jets 0-4, like I said, on the road, outscored 22-7. I can't bet that type of team because then it becomes a mental hurdle that I think the Jets, you're betting on the Jets getting over tonight, and I can't do that. Dallas, 150 favorite. I'd probably play it that way, but again, I'm going to pass on that game tonight. I should have bet the Edmonton Oilers last night. I thought about doing it. We had a packed house here at the Circus Sportsbook for the Vegas Golden Knights watch party last night. And the party died early because the Edmonton Oilers got off to an early 2-0 lead, and the Knights just didn't have any juice after that big comeback win on Saturday. And it was all over. Edmonton pitched a shutout last night, 3-0, and went up 3-1 in the series. And Vegas is coming back for Game 5 on Wednesday night. But it doesn't look good for the Vegas Golden Knights staying alive in that series against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and the Edmonton Oilers. All right, that's your hockey update for tonight. Again, about 20 minutes away from the puck dropping in Winnipeg, Dallas, with the Stars minus 150, total of 5.5, shaded over minus 120. Quick update from the NBA. Well, maybe now's your time. You might want to jump in on the Pacers. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay away from this game. 40-24, Cavs over the Pacers. And the live number is 16.5, the total 227.5. Will, how about this money line on Cleveland right now? No. Minus 1150. All right, it reminds me a little bit of when the Celtics started to pull away from the Knicks last night, and you thought, well, the difference here is that the Cavs are at home. The Celtics were on the road last night. I don't think the Cavs are going to let up. They're trying to stay alive, hold off elimination. At some point here, you're going to be tempted to take all these points with the Pacers, but I'm still going to pass for now. How about you? 42-25.
Yeah, no, it just feels like a bit of a no-show here from Indy. And again, we just talked about it. You don't want to if you're Indy, just be complacent. We got game 6 at home. We're up 3-1. It's over. It's not over. When you got 5 on the road and 7 on the road, it's a much different feel than the team that's up 3-1 goes home for 5 and 7. So, not getting in ahead of these Pacer players, and who knows, maybe they're just giving a max effort and they're playing desperation, but there's a reason people like to back the team that lost the game before, and especially when they've been embarrassed, they usually come out and play better. So good performance by the Cavs, and it looks like if this score holds here, we'll have a game 6, and who knows, possibly a game 7. I know you tend to think that it will be Indy in game 6 if that's what it comes to, but be interested. What do you think that spread would be if this score holds? A Cavs Pacers game 6, because it was 5.5 on Mother's Day, 5.5. Can't make it that high, I would think, but what 3, 4 in that range?
3.
Yeah.
3.5, something like that. That's. I don't have as high an opinion of the Cavs as some people do, I guess, so maybe as the market does. Anyway, the Cavs doing their part tonight to prove they were worthy of being 8.5-point favorites. Right now up 42-25. Donovan Mitchell, 13 points. But again, the Pacers, like you said, you don't want to bet on what you saw last. What did you see last? You saw the Pacers shooting the lights out. They just looked incredible in the first half on Sunday night. Well, tonight, 1 for 10 from 3. So far are the Pacers, and that's why they trail 42-25 with 8 minutes to go before the half. Well, last night, Tim Murray and I were sitting here watching the NBA draft lottery in amazement when the Dallas Mavericks, with a 1.8% chance, 40-1 odds of BetMGM Sportsbook, the Dallas Mavericks drew the number 1 overall pick and the right to draft Cooper Flagg from Duke. There were conspiracy theories floating all over social media, as usual, that if the league assured the Mavericks and Nico Harrison, if they traded Luka Doncic to L.A. to the Lakers, that the league would take care of him and you would get your next star and the number 1 pick and Cooper Flagg. Do you buy into those conspiracy theories?
Not really. I understand it looks fishy, and it was such a here's where it stems from. It was such a strange trade from Luka to trade Luka to the Lakers, just to trade him anywhere to begin with. And then the package they got back, all of it was so strange. Now this happens. Now everyone, it's just confirmation bias. Oh, it has to be rigged. Here's my issue with that. And not that I'm not look, I think that sometimes there's more that meets the eye. I thought the Woj report that Hurley was going to Lakers was nonsense. The whole thing with Paolo Banchero going to Orlando was nonsense. So sometimes I'm not naive. I think that there's more going on that we know. But they missed the playoffs by 1 game. They were a win against Memphis away from making the playoffs. And Anthony Davis got hurt. Kyrie Irving got hurt. So are we supposed to believe that in February when this trade was made, all of this was orchestrated? And then what? Before the Grizzlies-Mavs playing game, Jason Kidd tells his team, hey, I can't tell you why, guys, but just take it easy this game. We have to lose. We're going to get a draft pick. That seems pretty convoluted. Again, not that I always think everything's on the up and up and you believe everything you're told, but it just seems far-fetched. It's a lot of steps. Davis getting hurt, Kyrie getting hurt, and you're still 1 away from the playoffs. I get why it looks bad, and it does, whether it's rigged or not, and I don't think it is, it doesn't speak well of your league that everyone is so convinced it's rigged. And my solution would be just do the lottery in front of everybody to get rid of most of these questions. People are always going to be skeptical no matter what, frozen envelope or whatever people think. But just do it live, make people at least think that it's on a level. But I tend to believe that it is on a level. It's just a coincidence. Where do you stand with everything?
Well, when David Stern ran the NBA, I believed in almost all the conspiracy theories. But, with Adam Silver in charge, things have been a little bit different, more transparent. They do have a video, by the way, that was shown today of the lottery ball process and trying to prove it was legitimate. I'm not going to buy into this conspiracy theory, but I did buy into many of them in the past. And I know you and I are on the same page. I never believed the Adrian Wojnarowski story that Danny Hurley was being courted by the Lakers as head coach. You don't believe that either, right?
No.
You didn't believe it at the time. Yeah.
No, Hurley was upset Oriema got a new contract. Hurley didn't push for a new deal, a raise. He turned down Kentucky very quickly and said, all right, they'll take care of me. They didn't take care of him, and this is a way of him giving his leverage away and then getting it back with this whole thing with the Lakers, which was a complete sham.
And also, from the Lakers' perspective, the Lakers benefited from that story, by the way, and I wrote a column about this. It was up on VSiN.com about a year ago. The Lakers benefited because it looked like they were not letting LeBron just pick his coach, right? Because their story was out there that J.J. Redick was going to be the Lakers coach, LeBron's podcast buddy. And the Lakers this way made it look like, no, we made a serious pursuit of Danny Hurley, and we didn't get him. So then we settled for J.J. Redick. Well, that was never the case. Redick was going to be the coach the whole time. Anyway, there are certain phony stories in the media that you can see right through, and conspiracy theories in the NBA that I believed in the past. But this is not one I'm going to buy into, that the league assured the Mavericks if they traded Luka to the Lakers, they would get the number one pick in Cooper Flag. Should the Mavericks trade the number one pick for Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak? We're going to talk about that later in the show tonight, because I do not believe the Dallas Mavericks should trade the number one pick and give up the rights to Cooper Flag. But Will Hill and I will talk about that, I think, in the final hour tonight. Smarter bets start here and last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, we're slashing the price of our annual subscription. Normally $240, now just $199. When you sign up today, you throw in 2 extra months for free. That's 14 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code PRO. Head to vsin.com/subscribe and use promo code PRO to lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. That's vsin.com/subscribe.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.